so we've got a pretty good captive collection of our different native herpetofauna. We do programs. The guests can actually see the animals up close, and we call it the animal encounters. So we have plenty of turtles. We have lizards. We even have some salamanders.
Maybe we should meet some of these.
Sure, yeah. They will give themselves away sometimes as a pine snake if you scare them. They actually have a flap of skin in front of their epiglottis that they blow air onto. They'll open their mouth and they'll just blow air onto this flap, and it makes this really loud hissing sound. This cute little guy right here is what's known as an eastern box turtle, Terrapin Carolina. This is our state reptile. This species is a mud turtle. What you primarily see these turtles doing is they're actually crawling along the bottom of the water body they live in.
All right, let's get the big guy out.
Oh, we want to get the big guy out? That mud turtle, that's as big as they get. But this next one that we're going to get out is not that way. They can get quite a bit larger and a lot heavier too. So this is a common snapping turtle.
Wow.
The award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, for listening. We got a great show lined up for you today. I have Miss Amy Spencer helping me co-host, and we are back at the Discovery Park of America in Union City, Tennessee. Amy, thanks for being here.
Oh, it's great. Well, we're going to talk about some wildlife today.
Yeah, it's all about wildlife today. We just, if you haven't seen the first show we did, we talked about everything that the park offers. They got military, they got cars, they got agriculture, they got trains.
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. Yeah. It's an amazing place to visit. So if you haven't been out here, go check it out. But today it's all about wildlife. We have Eric Rosenthal with us today.
Well, thanks for having me, y'all. This is really exciting.
Yeah. We're glad you're here and excited about what you're going to bring out and show us today and
Definitely.
talk about. But tell folks at home what your title is here and what you do for the park.
So I'm a wildlife associate here. The title is, I like to consider myself a wildlife educator, though.
There you
I
go.
like that title a little bit better.
Yeah,
So,
we'll have them change your name tag.
There we go. Yeah. Talk to Scott. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So what brought you to the park and how did you wind up here?
Well, I graduated from University of Tennessee at Martin last year, and they had a position opening up here. And I've always wanted to do wildlife education ever since I was really young. And it sounded like a really good opportunity, so I applied, and here I am now.
All right.
Awesome. So I guess you got one of those wildlife degrees from
Yeah.
Martin.
So I have a bachelor's in natural resources management with a concentration in parks management, and I've always been a little bit more involved with the wildlife side too, though. So I've been doing it since I was really, really young. Yeah.
Well, a lot of wildlife folks come out of UT Martin.
Yeah, and we've actually done some events at Martin together. So
yeah. So y'all know each other.
Yeah.
One of the best schools in the state for it.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I'm a UT grad, Knoxville grad. I don't know about the notes. We'll get the war going.
There we go.
It's one of the top. You got UT Martin and NC
Knoxville.
Tech,
yeah.
UT Knoxville.
That's right.
And they all argue who's the best.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's rivalry there.
Cover the whole state. But anyway, so we're thankful. Thanks for having us, and we're
thanks for having me. This is really cool. I've watched some of y'all's other shows in the past, so I made it, right? Yeah.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah, there we go.
So today we're going to talk about snakes.
Yes,
It's kind of the main topic. You know, some people love them, some people hate them.
Absolutely.
So tell folks what they can expect when they come here and they see snakes and then some of the other reptiles and things you have.
Yeah, so we've got a pretty good captive collection of our different native herpetofauna. We've got 5 snakes on display. We have a couple in the back room that we don't have on display. And we do programs depending on the day. We'll have 1 twice a day.
Okay.
Some days, Saturdays, we'll have 3 a day. And at that point, the guests can actually see the animals up close, and they can get to actually touch the animals depending on the animal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, depending on the animal.
Yeah, depending on the animal, yeah. So, they can actually have an up-close in-person encounter with them. We call it the animal encounters, right?
Yeah, very cool.
Which is really important, and they love that. And, we've also got more than snakes, though. We have plenty of turtles. We have lizards. We even have some salamanders in the back room. As well as some flying squirrels. So
and we're actually watching people look at fish right now.
Yeah. We also have a big aquarium there that we have quite a few different native species of fish. But yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff here. People seem to like it. I like it. So, it's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it's cool. We're standing right here in the area where you do the shows.
Yeah, this is it. This is where we do it. Yeah.
So, yesterday I was visiting, and you had the sink here below this grate that had the turtles swimming around, and you were showing folks, and that was very cool.
No, this is where all the magic happens, right? Yeah.
That's great. Well, thanks for letting us invade your space today.
Oh, no, please.
Hopefully we're educating the folks as they come by. But
I'm sure, I bet everybody thinks
everybody's
this is
looking for the pond snake.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering.
It's over here.
So before we bring that guy out, because we are going to bring out the pine snake, which is very cool.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Remind folks in Tennessee about venomous versus non-venomous.
Yeah, so in Tennessee, we really only have 4 different species of venomous snake. You're really only likely to see 3 of them, though. And one of those ones that you're more likely to see is, not very commonly seen. That would be the timber rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Depends on where you live, though. But the 4th one is actually one that y'all had Sean Snyder on at one point talking about, the pygmy rattlesnake, the western pygmy. And, so there's only 4. There's only 4 venomous, and the rest, we've got 35 species in total here in Tennessee. Depends on who you ask. Not everybody agrees on taxonomy.
That's okay.
So we've got mostly non-venomous snakes here that pose absolutely no threat to humans whatsoever. And the venomous ones are pretty easy to not get into trouble with. They're not animals that are out trying to bite you left and right, no matter what. One
thing, none of these snakes are going to run you down.
No, snakes do not chase people.
We see that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, people post that. Oh, it's going to run you down. But I want to bring up something.
Yeah.
Don't let irrational fear take over.
Yeah.
Think about these. I mean, these animals aren't trying to hurt you.
No.
And one other thing I want to say is, we use the word venomous, not poisonous, because poison is what you ingest. Is what ingested. It's not. These are venomous.
That's right. Yeah,
venom. Two different words, but people use them interchangeably, and they're not.
Yeah. So if you look at some of the old textbooks from way back, you'll still see poisonous.
And even some of the zoos.
Even some of the zoos. Yeah. Venom. If you really look into it, it's a very, very specific type of poison.
Yes.
And it's injected through either fangs or a stinger.
Or ingested.
Or you can ingest it, But see, the thing is most of the time when you ingest it, you can actually be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a cut in your mouth, that might not be great. But so, you can actually most of the time ingest venom and be okay, though. So our snakes here that potentially could hurt you are venomous. That's the more correct way to say it. Yes.
Yeah, and you gotta be bit most of the time,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, I mean, there are some venomous snakes in Tennessee that are not medically significant. Like our garter snakes or our hognose snakes. They also are considered venomous. Their venom delivery is different, but they are not considered dangerous to us. So if you look into snakes for long enough, you'll realize that there's no one rule fits all thing. It's very complicated. Which is great, it keeps it interesting.
And and when people get bit, it's usually by accident.
Yeah,
they're not chased down.
No.
Don't smart things. Don't be wearing flip flops out around in the wood area. A lot of people get bit by wearing flip flops or reach into dark spaces or around wood that you can't see.
What I like to tell people is that the best way to not get bit by a venomous snake is just common sense.
Yes,
that's your best snake bite kit.
Yes,
snake bite kits don't work.
Yes,
don't use them. Yeah, so.
But just think about that. If you're outside, just remember that.
Exactly. If you're paying attention to where you put your hands and your feet.
Yes.
And you wear good footwear, and I always tell people, if you see a snake, then at that point you then have a choice.
Yes.
Whether or not you're going to get bit.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, as an officer, I saw tons of snakes. I mean, when I was working bait sites or just out working, you can back up and go around. You don't.
It's not hard. Yeah, it's pretty easy to avoid them. A venomous snake, can typically strike about half to 2/3 of its body length, and biggest rattlesnake you're going to see in Tennessee is about 6, a little bit plus foot long. So you do the math. You can pretty easily walk around.
You can walk around them.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not hard to avoid getting bit. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just so folks know, it is illegal to kill snakes.
Absolutely, yes.
And unfortunately, we see all the time people send us a picture of a dead snake, and it's going to be a non-venomous snake that would not have hurt you, and then they're like, "Can you identify it?" Well, first of all, you've already killed it for no reason. Yeah. And snakes have a purpose in our ecosystem.
Absolutely,
they're very important. So we need to bring that out to people. And again, don't let your irrational fear take over.
That's why you should walk around them, because they're great to have in your yard.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want your children to get bit by a venomous snake, but it's great to have these non-venomous in your yard that can.
Yeah, I always tell people that. I always tell people that, because a lot of the times people are concerned just with any snake in their yard. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, any snake that's not, a medically significant species, it's fine to have them in your yard. Whether that's a rat snake or a garter snake, or really any of our non-venomous species.
And your king snakes
or king snakes, which are great. Everybody, usually they get a pass from a lot of people because, they'll eat venomous snakes.
Yes,
that's people like those typically.
Definitely.
So maybe we should meet some of these.
Sure, yeah.
I'd say that'd be great.
So I guess what we'll get out right now is a very special snake that I know y'all over at TWR are very interested in. This is a pine snake.
Yes.
And we'll see if I can open this bag. It's the first good step, right?
And
so one thing about while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about, we are actively looking for pine snakes. We have 2 individuals that are doing a telemetry project, and they're looking for these snakes, and they're trying to study them because we're trying to figure, these snakes are declining quickly.
Yeah. They
are.
And we're trying to find out what's going on. So if you should see one of these snakes, we do want you to contact us, and you could call our regional office or depending on where you're at. But Jesse and Mallory are both actively looking for these snakes.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful snake.
They are,
it's very large, and people probably
they're one of our
and he's pretty upset because he's already.
Yeah, so the pine snake. This is you can smell them actually. So this is Pituophis melanolucis. This is a northern pine snake, and you can actually see here if you look on my wrist.
Yep.
You can see the musk right there, and that's something that a lot, or really every snake for the most part, is going to do if you bother them too much, is they'll musk on you. And it's a foul-smelling odor. It's basically a way to keep them, smelling in a non-appetizing manner to predators, right? So, that's what this guy's doing to me right now. Now, the pine snake, like y'all said, this is a threatened species in Tennessee. They're extremely hard to find. I've been hoping to find one of these for many years and still have not run across one. Now, they're mostly going to spend their life underground.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is one reason why you don't see many of them.
Yeah, and you'll see with a lot of different species, and this doesn't just go for snakes. This goes for tons of other animals that it's hard to tell a lot of the times whether an animal is truly rare in numbers or if it's just really secretive. And that's one of the things that, Jesse Ekers, for example, is trying to figure out with these guys is, are they actually truly rare, or is it just that they're always underground and we can't exactly see them?
Yeah.
But they have been noticed to be a habitat specialist for the most part. They like to live in places like pine savannas that have, decent shelter wood throughout the open areas. And they don't live all throughout Tennessee, actually. There are certain regions, especially far west Tennessee, where these snakes are not known to occur.
So it's more of like a pocket. You almost want to think of it as a pocket area.
There's certain ecological regions where this species is known to be a little bit more common. So, if you go out onto the Highland Rim around like Land Between the Lakes, for example, they are known to be, I hesitate to say common, but, they're known from that area as well as further east. But yeah, that's why people like Jesse Ekers going out and doing work with these is so important, because we know very, very little about species like this, as well as many others like the pygmy rattlesnakes and everything like that. But some other things about the pine snake that's really, really interesting. They will give themselves away sometimes as a pine snake if you scare them enough, which obviously I don't encourage people to do.
Right.
But sometimes you might accidentally walk up on one and spook one. And one good way, in some cases, to tell if it's a pine snake is their defensive strategies. So what they can do is they'll actually, if they're scared, they'll coil up into a ball, which obviously I can't really show as accurately as he could.
He's trying.
Yeah, so they'll coil up into a ball, and what they'll do is they'll raise their body up just a little bit, and they'll open their mouth up. And all snakes have this thing called an epiglottis, where they stick it out to breathe while they're eating a big meal that they, can't it helps them breathe while they're eating.
Right, okay.
So these guys, they actually have a flap of skin in front of their epiglottis that they blow air onto. And they'll open their mouth and they'll just blow air onto this flap, and it makes this really loud hissing sound. So that's one way that you can actually, if you're not as privy to identifying snakes visually, you can actually tell a little bit easier. There's really only one other snake in Tennessee that'll hiss, and that's the hognose snake. So if you got one doing that, it's either this guy or a hognose. So that's one way that you can kind of tell that it's a pine snake. Also, they're really large size.
Yes.
You can just see how long this snake is. They're arguably... some people are arguing whether this is the new longest species in Tennessee, but for the longest time, that's been the rat snake. But yeah, they're amazing, amazing snakes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful snake, shiny. I think it's just crazy.
Absolutely, and they also have, on the very, very tip, they like to live in areas that have really loose substrates, and one of their adaptations that helps them with that is if you look on the very tip of their snout, on their rostral scale. That's the scale that's on the very, very tip of their snout. Their rostral scale is enlarged, and it's also a little bit more keratinized. It's harder. So that helps them sift through rodent burrows and that loose, sandy soil that they typically like to live in.
Cool.
So that's one of the reasons that they're so well suited for fossorial life, living underground. So that's another thing that you can look for if you're confused as to which snake you've got.
And we talked about fangs earlier. And teeth. So the pine snake has teeth, right?
Yeah. So they've got what's known as a glyphis teeth, and basically what that is essentially it's just teeth that they use for securing prey. And with snakes, they've all got teeth, and they can have over 100 teeth sometimes. They have a lot of teeth in their mouth. So any of the venomous, even the venomous snakes, they don't just have fangs. They'll also have teeth. They'll also have teeth as well.
Right.
Now, with these guys and with, any other snake, they're actually going to be recurved backwards.
So they're angled, so they...
Yep. So think about it, if you've got a vole that this guy's trying to eat, and it's trying to get out, it's a little harder for him to do that.
Work it back,
Yeah, right. It's almost like Velcro almost, it's hard for them to get back out. But and they're very, very sharp. They're not like our molars where we chew things. They don't exactly chew. They kind of undulate their jaws back and forth because, they don't have hands. They can't use a fork and knife like we can, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know, right? Y'all learned that today.
They're unhinging their jaws.
Right. Yeah. So they have very, very elastic jaws that they're able to, kind of scoot the animal in. But that's what they use for that, is they use those aglyphis teeth that are, recurved backwards, and it helps push it back for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, so snakes are fascinating.
They are.
It's just cool information to learn here today that you don't need to be afraid of.
No.
Absolutely not. Yeah, if you just, I always tell people that the word is not fear, it's respect. If you just give a snake respect, it will respect you back. Mm-hmm. Even cottonmouths.
And you don't have to...
Even cottonmouths, they're a big infamous one.
Yeah. Don't kill them.
Yeah, there's really, and also, I will say this about killing snakes. It's not only illegal, but, I would say that the practical reasons for not killing snakes is that you're putting yourself closer to that animal than you normally would be.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get bit while they're trying to kill snakes, actually. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you don't want to kill them because they do a lot of really good things for us, like we mentioned earlier.
They have a huge role in our ecosystem.
Absolutely. And I'll also add that, we talk about rodent predation a lot, which is true. That's absolutely true. But, they fit a much, much wider biological role than just rodent control. You get snakes eating all kinds of different things. You'll have them eating, like if in the case of a rough green snake, they're insectivores for the most part. They'll mostly just eat insects. You get snakes that specialize in eating aquatic salamanders like the mud snake. You get other snakes that just eat toads and things like that. So, they fit a very, very wide biological niche that, is encompassed throughout all their different species. So we absolutely need snakes. Yep. Absolutely.
So I know we're talking about snakes, but let's get a couple other animals on real quick
of course.
Before we want some people to say. We're going to pass.
Mr.
Thanks,
John Parr going to help
get the poop all over you too. Yeah. Yeah.
He's sharing today.
He is. Sharing's caring, right?
Yep.
All right. So let's take a look at some turtles here. So first off, we'll start with a very special one. And this is actually our state reptile. So this fella, this cute little guy right here, is what's known as an eastern box turtle, Terrapin Carolina. And this guy, I say guy because this is actually a male.
It is.
And the way that you can tell that, there's multiple ways, but the main way that I do it is if you ever see one of these and you look up underneath their plastron is what that's called, and the bottom's the plastron, the top is the carapace. So if you look on the plastron, if this is a male turtle, what you're going to notice is it's concave.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a female, it's going to be more flat. And, that helps them mate with the females while they're engaging in courtship. So that's a big way that you can tell that you've got a male.
We just had some turtle action on.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we just had some turtle action on.
Vance's Ventures. Check out our website.
Oh, yeah. No, like,
social media.
like I mentioned earlier, this is actually our state reptile. We have a state everything pretty much. We got a state bird, state mammal, all that good stuff. And this is our state reptile. It's also North Carolina's state reptile, too. So I don't know who stole whose state reptile, but
But
they're common in both.
And
exactly.
I'm going to bring something up because last week was World Turtle Day.
It was.
So I do want to say, one thing we're seeing is a population decline and it's due to roadkills.
Exactly.
Slow down. Don't run over a turtle.
Yep.
And people actually do swerve for them, and I do not understand what is wrong with you if you would swerve and kill a turtle. But I've seen people do it.
I've seen people do it too. Yeah, turtles typically get a little bit more of a pass when compared to snakes.
Yes, they do, but
people will literally lock their brakes to run over a snake sometimes. But turtles typically are a little bit more forgiven.
And and I also want to mention, do not take these out of the wild. That's another
absolutely.
reason why we're seeing population decline is pet trades, and it is illegal to take them out of the wild.
Right.
So
Absolutely,
do not take them out of the wild.
Yeah, no, they've got a really important place here,
and don't move them. I used to know somebody that would drive around after rains and pick them up and collect them and take them somewhere else. Don't do that. They have a very small home range,
right.
And that you've just totally messed up everything. They're confused. And they're trying, they don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
So if you're going to move one out of the road, put it on the other side, safely out of the way.
Right?
And do not, be careful, watch for cars because, you don't want to
save the turtle and then not save yourself.
Right. But,
Yeah, no, I mean, but like you said, like from the time that they're born, they have an extremely specific home range. So, I will hear, and it's the same goes with snakes and many other different wild animals is, they know where to go from the time they instinctually know from the time they're, born where to go. So that's, like you said, that's why you don't want to take these. I'll always have people come and say that, I found a turtle in my backyard, so I took it to the pond.
Yeah.
Right, a couple neighborhoods down. And
don't put these in the water.
No, don't. So, so about the
that.
box turtle, this is a terrestrial species, right? So you're not going to see them swimming in the water very much.
Yeah, I have, actually.
I have, too.
But it's very
very
uncommon.
seldom, and usually it's in really shallow water. Yeah. I actually found one recently that was crawling through a little puddle, and that was kind of funny. I was like, well, you're not usually supposed to be there. But, you're not going to usually see these guys out swimming. Well, pretty much never. You're going to see them swimming with their heads poking up like a red-eared slider or a river cooter or something like that. This is a woodland species, and you can kind of see with the pattern and coloration that they have on their carapace here, that helps them blend into, dead, rotting leaves, things like that. It's a really good adaptation for them to not be seen when they're traveling through the woods.
And
so in a comparison, let's get one of our aquatic turtles.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So one thing I do want to point out with him before we get our aquatic turtles out is look at his feet. I'm sure the camera can take that and get a look at it. With his feet in between his little claws there, which are so adorable, you can notice that he does not have any webbing in between his fingers, right?
Yep.
He doesn't need it because he's not an aquatic turtle. But if we look at some of our other species of turtles...
And one thing I want to point out while you're swapping... it's a box turtle.
Right.
Because it closes up like a box, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So they have a hinge, and, I can actually illustrate that with this species as well. So let's take a look at this guy. So if I get him to come out a little bit, they do have more webbing. So this species is a mud turtle. Mm-hmm. This is an eastern mud turtle. So they are interesting. To me, they're about like a mixture between, like a red-eared slider and a box turtle. Mm-hmm. They kind of have they're like an underwater box turtle, and you can see the webbing here. The reason I say that is because what you primarily see these turtles doing is they're actually crawling along the bottom of the water body they live in. So they're not usually are going to be up on logs or sticking their heads up out of the water like you would see with a red-eared slider or something like that. So they're actually crawling along the bottom. But if we can get him to stick his little hands out there, again, he may or may not do it.
That's all right, yeah.
I'm paying you extra for this, dude. Come on. No, but yeah. So the reason I was saying that I could illustrate the hinge with this guy as well is because they actually have 2 hinges.
Really?
The box turtle's not the only one that has hinges. This species of turtle actually has 2 hinges. He's got one right there and one right there. Now they can't close up as effectively as a box turtle can. But they still can a little bit. So, if I get the angle right, you can actually see I can move the top portion of his plastron there as well as the bottom half. So they do have some mobility, not as much as a box turtle can, but yeah, they do have some mobility there.
Very cool.
All right, let's get the big guy out.
Oh, we want to get the big guy out?
Yeah, we're going to run out of time, so let's get the big guy out.
All right, let's get the big guy out. So we've mostly been looking at small turtles. I'll also add that mud turtle. That's as big as they get. A lot of people think they're babies, but adult-sized mud turtles get to be about that big. But this next one that we're going to get out, obviously, is not that way. They can get quite a bit larger and a lot heavier, too. So this is a common snapping turtle.
Wow.
Hopefully he doesn't think that cord looks
Now,
tasty.
we do have the alligator snapper.
Yes,
we have the common snapping turtle in Tennessee.
Right.
And mostly people are seeing this one.
Mostly, yeah.
Yes.
So, I'll get... and so here's one of the big things that I will recommend to anyone. Take pictures.
Yes.
Take pictures. That's very, very
and
important.
this is another one that Jesse is looking for.
Yeah.
So it's another one of those species that if you do see the alligator, I need to go ahead and specify the alligator snapping turtle is what Jesse is looking for.
Right.
But that's where we ask for those pictures because
Exactly.
y'all can ID them as soon as you see.
Yeah. And then one of the big things is, I'll hear a lot of people say they swear up and down, I got an alligator snapping turtle living in my cattle pond, which, usually they're not going to be in those places.
Yeah.
So that was, that's always my first, kind of tip. Like, was it really an alligator snapper? And then they show me a picture.
But this one, and tell them why this is a...
Yeah, so, the way that you tell the difference, if you'll let go of the grate there, pal.
No.
He's like, no. So the way that you tell the difference, there's a few ways. If you look on the carapace here, on the common snapping turtle, I like to compare it to something like a dinner plate.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I say that is because it's more smooth, it's more flat, right? And you can see he's opening his mouth right there. He's like, oh, you're running out of time, dude. But with the alligator snapping turtle, it's a little different. They actually have what I like to refer to as mountain slopes. They have 3 big distinct mountain slopes going up and down their carapace. And it's very easy to point out whenever you see one. But the other thing, and this is actually good that he's opening his mouth for this, is that he's gasping for air here. But yeah, no, with their head, the head of a common snapping turtle is a lot smaller than that of an alligator snapping turtle. And what you'll notice is that they've got a much less pronounced beak than the alligator snapping turtle does. Those are some ways that you can point yourself in the right direction when you see one of these guys.
And we are in a restoration project with these, and we have been raising these and turning them loose back in West Tennessee.
That's
so
fantastic.
not the common, but I'm talking about the alligator. Let me specify again. Let me clarify. But that is one thing we are doing as an agency.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and we need work like that done, especially like for the the alligator snappers.
And if you're interested in the alligator snapping turtle, we did a whole podcast on that.
With Angie, right? Yeah, y'all did an entire podcast episode on that.
There are 340 plus episodes out there.
Yeah.
So go check it out.
Go Google it and you can find that one.
Yep.
Well, Eric, we appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun. This is...
he's getting snappy.
This is really important stuff, getting this stuff out to the public, teaching people. So y'all do a great job of that. So thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for talking about some animals
Of course,
today.
always happy to.
Thanks for bringing all your friends.
Oh, yeah. Thank them,
Oh, it's been great. I hope folks who have watched or listened today, if you have been listening, go watch. And I hope y'all have enjoyed the show. Amy, thank you for helping again. Eric, thank you again.
Yeah.
Keep coming back. This is Tennessee Wildcast. If you like what you're seeing, there's more of this out there. So go find us. tnwildlife.org is our website. And then find us on our social media channels. And go listen to the podcast, subscribe, and like us. And this is Tennessee Wildcast. We'll be back to Discovery Park soon. And thank you all for tuning in.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.